everyone, we have located the sample U2's figurines that they sent us, and we will be showing it off towards the end of the show. So stick around for that. But first, it brings us no pleasure to continue talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a man who we assumed would have been tossed in the garbage pail of history after spending the last decade peddling nearly every mainstream conspiracy theory, getting outed as the Central Park bear killer, who also has a track record of animal mutilation that spans multiple decades, then, of course, running a doomed-to-fail third-party bid for president, and also, just for good measure, having a cyber affair with a journalist who sent him demure nudes after describing his car as a putrid death machine. Now, couple all that baggage, with a voice that sounds like you've just tossed a bunch of loose change in a garbage disposal.
And I can get the corruption out of the agencies. This is what I've been doing for 40 years.
And we really, truly, honestly hoped that we would never have to hear from this man again. Emphasis on hearing from him.
But alas,
Yeah.
unfortunately for us and all of you, RFK Jr. has not only found a nice new home in the Trump administration, this anti-vaccine, fluoride-hating, ivermectin-loving nut job, if confirmed, is set to become the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, which puts him in charge of the Food and Drug Administration, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the National Institutes of Health, and Medicare and Medicaid.
Oh, good. I feel confident in his abilities to lead that department, don't you?
I'm excited to go to my doctor and get prescribed crystals.
Yes, just set these in one corner of the room.
Way cheaper than medicines.
Yes. Are you sleeping with your Himalayan pink salt lamp, Elliot? Because otherwise, the negative energy is going to have a drastic toll on everything in your life.
Yeah, Big Pharma is going to be sorry
Yeah.
when I don't buy their medicines and subsequently die.
Yeah.
So basically anything related to human health is now going to fall under the purview of the guy who drinks unpasteurized milk and thinks that 5G internet services can control human behavior. Also, we know it's kind of mean to say, but we're just being honest.
Yeah.
This guy's voice is actually painful to listen to, and it's going to be very frustrating watching him do press for the next few years, or until Trump unceremoniously fires him for trying to ban Diet Coke in the White House or something.
I don't think so, Robert. It looks like you're fired.
No, Donald, it's poison. You're killing yourself with this poison.
I went back and listened to some of his speeches recently, and I shouldn't have done that. It is a very grating voice. I know he doesn't have control of it, but I'm sorry.
He sounds like, it's like if Tom Waits was a fancy boy.
It sounds like he is physically hurting every time he makes a noise.
Yeah,
And it's uncomfortable to watch or listen to.
It's like, you know how like you stub your toe and then your friend or your girlfriend or your wife's like, hey, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine. It just sounds like he's wincing every time.
It's hard to listen to when you have the visual of him speaking. It's impossible to listen to if you're just hearing the audio.
Yeah. So with more on this jaw-dropping, but at this point in the week, not too surprising appointment, here's the Washington Post.
President-elect Donald Trump on Thursday selected Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a longtime vaccine skeptic, to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, the sprawling agency responsible for administering millions of Americans' health insurance, approving drugs and medical supplies, regulating food, and responding to infectious disease outbreaks. The decision, which public health experts and many Democrats characterized as alarming and unprecedented, means that one of America's most prominent vaccine skeptics could soon oversee an agency responsible for the safety of vaccines. And they add that Kennedy has no experience in a senior government role, and former Trump health officials on Thursday warned that he would probably face battles in trying to navigate HHS's bureaucracy and achieve his agenda. If confirmed, Kennedy would preside over a nearly $2 trillion health agency that oversees health insurance programs including Medicare, Medicaid, and the Affordable Care Act, and helps lead the response to natural disasters and viral outbreaks.
Look, he may not have experience, but he has genetic experience.
Yeah.
He has that Kennedy blood, and he's going to walk into the White House and it's going to come rushing through him, his epigenetic memory. It's going to click.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the most effective leader. His voice is going to instantly turn normal.
Yeah.
It's going to be
if
crazy.
that happened, I actually would take his advice on medical procedures.
Yeah.
Sir, if you can just turn around this one thing, just prove it to America.
It's really just the voice. You fix the
the
voice,
biggest problem.
I'll do whatever that man wants.
That's not exactly true, but yeah, it is a big hindrance. And it seems like he's, as we'll get into, very susceptible to believing anything that helps him make sense of things that he can't wrap his head around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so we're super clear about this, it's such a comically ironic choice that it rivals Matt Gaetz as Attorney General.
It's the opposite of who you think should be in charge of
Who's
these
the
things.
worst person for the job? He's got the job.
Yeah.
Trump is literally installing an anti-vaxxer to lead the nation's health services. In just the past decade or so, he helped found the group Children's Health Defense, which is one of the main sources of vaccine misinformation online, and it helped popularize the myth that vaccines cause autism. He's come out in favor of various debunked medical treatments like hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, that's the horse paste one, and, of course, consuming delicious raw milk.
Straight from the teat.
The forbidden milk. He has claimed that drinking water is turning kids gay and trans and that fluoride needs to be removed from the water supply. He's also claimed that the FDA, a department that he will now be in charge of, has been responsible for the mass poisoning of American citizens. Also, he looks like a worn-out baseball glove and appears to have been cheating on Cheryl Hines with a journalist who appears to be some sort of gentrophile. He definitely doesn't seem to have the face, voice, or moral compass to fill the role as the nation's doctor, but he's got the name.
That's right, folks.
He's got that Kennedy
He's
name.
got the look.
He doesn't have the look.
He has the look, he doesn't have the voice. I mean, he doesn't have the look either, but...
I mean, like 15 years ago, he had the look. He
Sure.
was a handsome man. I don't know. I mean, it is just aging, but the age 60 hit this man like a brick wall.
yeah.
Anyway, let's see what some experts had to say. Here's CNN.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a clear and present danger to the nation's health. He shouldn't be allowed in the building at the Department of Health and Human Services, let alone be placed in charge of the nation's public health agency. Robert Weissman, co-president of the consumer advocacy nonprofit Public Citizen, said in a statement, Donald Trump's bungling of public health policy during the COVID pandemic cost hundreds of thousands of lives. By appointing Kennedy as his Secretary of HHS, Trump is courting another policy-driven public health catastrophe. I was worried we could go low, but not this low, Dr. Carlos Del Rio, Executive Associate Dean of the Emory School of Medicine and Grady Health System, wrote of the pick. Dr. Michael Osterholm, director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, told CNN before the election that he felt compelled to weigh in publicly on Kennedy's views because of concerns about potential Trump policies and what he referred to as Kennedy's pseudoscience. Quote, everything that we see and know about what a Trump administration would look like would devastate public health in this country, said Osterholm.
Obviously, some of RFK's views on nutrition are rooted in reality, but aren't exactly attainable dreams while he's in charge, especially if he doesn't want to run afoul of Trump and his seemingly impossible goal of lowering citizens' grocery bills. RFK is right to say that Americans eat way too much processed food and should eat foods with simpler ingredients. But we all have that option now, and a primary reason behind people choosing not to do that is it's fucking expensive and it's inconvenient.
Yeah.
Just go down to Erewhon. Okay, here's my social security number.
Yeah.
Take my house. Many people are essentially forced to eat cheap, easy to prepare crap because there is no time left in the day and no money left in their budget to fully prepare healthy, beneficial meals. Meanwhile, he has proven himself to be easily manipulated into believing a lot of pseudoscientific bullshit that would sway his opinion at any point in time. Not to mention that food and nutrition is only one part of his overall role.
Yeah, and it also goes without saying that the dude is just a total freak in every other aspect of his life. And that shouldn't be ignored when he's going to be the leader of a major government agency that touches every aspect of our lives. I mean, he's a habitual adulterer whose philandering during a previous marriage allegedly drove his ex-wife to suicide. He's desecrated numerous animal corpses, including a whale, what appeared to have been a dog, and again, the bear that he dumped in Central Park after letting it rot in the back of his death machine for several hours. He also staged it to look like a bicyclist had hit the bear.
He tried to frame the New York cycling community.
Then again, like with all these other Trump appointees, there's really no telling how long RFK Jr. will remain in this role, if he's even confirmed by the Senate. Trump could get sick of him very quickly, especially after he catches wind of what RFK has to say about Donald's fast food diet.
You take it back. No,
He said
you take it
very,
back.
very nasty things about some very delicious food products. So yeah, during a recent podcast appearance on the Joe Polish show, as reported by the Daily Beast, RFK literally said Trump is eating poison.
Kennedy confirmed that Trump's love of the Golden Arches is no act, adding that it's arguably detrimental to his health. The stuff that he eats is really, bad, he told marketing industry podcaster Joe Polish. That's his real name?
I guess.
How many of these Joe Polishes does it take to run a podcast?
Especially in the marketing industry. There's only so many underwater screen door submarine doors that you can sell, or solar-powered flashlights in the world.
He at a live recording of his The Joe Polish show published Tuesday. Campaign food is always bad, but the food that goes onto that airplane is just like poison. You have a choice between, you don't have the choice. You're either given KFC or Big Macs. That's when you're lucky. And then the rest of the stuff I consider kind of inedible. Kennedy added that one of Trump's best friends claimed he has never seen the Republican politician drink water, and nodded to his well-known love of Diet Coke. And then he drinks Diet Coke, Kennedy added. I was with Dana White the other day. He's very close to Trump. They've had a relationship for 20 years through UFC. He said that sometimes he'll sit through a fight with Trump, and he's there for 5 hours during the fight, and said he has never seen Trump drink a glass of water. Never. But didn't he just say that water's bad and it's got fluoride in it and it's going to hurt us all? Maybe he's talking about the good stuff in the plastic bottles. Not the glass, the plastic.
Now you got to get the good glass stuff. Spring water only, and probably from a place that Kennedy is going to designate as the only safe water place in America, baby.
Yeah. So we can only hope that RFK tries to ban Diet Coke immediately, causing Donald Trump to personally tie him to one of Elon Musk's rockets bound for space, perhaps with Elon himself also strapped to that rocket.
Yeah. You know, I've got a big red button and it does two things. You press it and it gets me a Diet Coke and then sends Robert F. Kennedy Jr. into space so he can get nowhere near my Diet Coke ever again. I'll keep drinking that slop.
Can you imagine all the shit he's going to talk when they do fall out? That voice! I can't stand it.
Oh, man, yeah, because he is, you know, like a lot of people in this country, including the fact that we're pointing it out, there is a certain kind of person that is able to get things done. You got to look good. You got to have a great speaking voice. You have to be able to tell the people what they need to hear, and it's just not going to come across well from this guy, especially when you're dealing with health.
Yeah, I think he's going to get voted off the show fairly early.
How many Scaramucci's will he last?
I mean, no one's going to beat Scaramucci because that was a very specific situation. That was like 2 years into that administration when things were fully, when the turnover was already so bad.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We got 4 years to see if anyone beats Anthony Scaramucci's record of, 13 days?
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, while we're on the topic of Trump's cabinet picks, let's check in on how everything is going for presumptive Attorney General Matt Gaetz, who was, he was set to having a little ethics committee report released, and he avoided that by doing something very clever. He ultimately and conveniently stepped down from his role in the House to accept a nomination for a position that he seems unlikely to actually fill. So former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was being interviewed by Bloomberg about Trump's picks.
I love it. He's such a hater.
Yeah, and while he mostly found ways to approve of Trump's choices in general, he still skewered Matt Gaetz in the simplest terms possible.
There's bad blood between these men because Matt Gaetz was the ringleader of the whole effort to oust Kevin McCarthy from the speakership after he held the role for less than a year, I believe.
Yeah, and you have to assume that Kevin McCarthy is, although he probably wouldn't say it publicly otherwise if he hadn't been so blatantly targeted by Matt Gaetz, but you would have to hope that Kevin McCarthy really does care about the victims, as he said live on camera before regarding Matt Gaetz' accusations. But in this interview where they were just talking about Trump's cabinet picks, he stated bluntly, look, Gaetz won't get confirmed. Everybody knows that. So he's just saying that this is a ploy on its face. Yeah. So regardless, it looks like the nomination has, at the very least, bought Matt Gaetz a little bit of time. And with the help of current Speaker Mike Johnson, the accusations, they might actually just go away.
Well, because if Mike Johnson reads that report, he has to text his son and tell him that he's looking at lewd material.
Yeah. I have unfortunate news, son. I need you to bring my bait and gloves. On Friday morning, it was announced that the House Ethics Committee had decided to hold off on a meeting regarding that report about Gaetz. The chairman did later clarify that the meeting had only been postponed and not outright canceled. But at this point, how far can you kick the can down the road? It might not ever happen.
Yeah. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson has decided to strongly suggest that the Ethics Committee withhold the Gaetz report. Maybe it's just us, but we feel like if an Ethics Committee has a report they've been working on for months that may include damning information about a politician who might become the Attorney General while also being accused of sex trafficking and drug use, it would probably be in the best interests of the country, of the American people, for that report to be released to the public.
Yeah, you would think.
But since Gaetz has suddenly decided to resign his position in the House, apparently that's an offensive overreach to conservatives. Hold on, he doesn't even work here anymore.
Yeah, you can't. Come on, guys.
What do you need the report for?
Yeah.
Here's NBC News with more on Johnson's involvement, which seems to confirm the reasoning behind Gaetz' appointment and his subsequent resignation.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said Friday that he would strongly request that the House Ethics Committee not release a report detailing its investigation into former Representative Matt Gaetz. Johnson said that the release of the report, now that Gaetz is no longer a sitting congressman, would be a, quote, terrible breach of protocol, tradition, and the spirit of the rule, and said he plans to communicate that to the panel's chairman, Representative Michael Gaetz, a Republican from Mississippi. The rules of the House has always been that a former member is beyond the jurisdiction of the Ethics Committee, Johnson said when asked if the public deserves to see the report. I'm going to strongly request, that the Ethics Committee not issue the report. The bipartisan 10-member ethics panel had been scheduled to meet Friday to discuss the report on Gaetz and whether to release it to the public. But a source with direct knowledge had said on Thursday that the meeting was canceled. As we said above, the committee clarified that it was just postponed, not permanently canceled. But what does that mean anymore?
Yeah. But the reporting continues, adding, Republicans who will control the Judiciary Committee next year and would oversee a Gaetz confirmation process told NBC News Thursday that they wanted to see the details of the ethics report, though some said they'd likely get that information from an FBI background if the report is not released. Josh Sorb, spokesperson for Democrats on the Judiciary Committee, said that Gaetz shouldn't be able to resign away an ethics investigation involving allegations of grave misconduct, especially when he will be nominated to be our country's top law enforcement officer. There is bipartisan support for the Senate Judiciary Committee having access to this information, Sorb added. The Ethics Committee's investigation into Gaetz most recently zeroed in on alleged sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, accepting improper gifts, obstruction, and other allegations. Gaetz had also been under federal investigation for sex trafficking, though he was ultimately not charged.
Yeah, so we'll see how this all shakes out. But it seems like what they're doing is pretty obvious here. They're just giving him an out.
Yeah.
If other members of the Republican Party are like, well, yeah, he's not going to get confirmed for the Attorney General role, and the Speaker of the fucking House is like, well, we can't look into him anymore. I guess he retired. Then again, what are we going to do? But in other not so surprising news, remember all those brave advertisers that ditched Elon Musk's platform for A, being a hate-filled cesspool, and B, having artificially inflated viewer metrics that don't actually convert into meaningful engagement or customer acquisition? Remember all those brave advertisers that put their necks on the line?
Heroes, my favorite brands.
They said, we're leaving the platform formerly known as Twitter.
We have principles, folks.
Yeah, well, guess what? Guess what, everyone? Are you surprised? They're making a triumphant return to the platform in what appears to be a move less concerned with advertising to potential customers and more akin to just paying the mafia for protection.
Yeah.
They have to get back in the good graces.
This guy's got a direct line to the president.
This is another thing that just feels so obvious where it's like,
yeah,
okay, you weren't advertising and had no...
The situation has changed.
Yeah, now we have to play ball with these people. It's a fucking protection racket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Elon is, I mean, it's so funny because it was like, I think in 2020, at the latest, that Bernie Sanders got so much shit for saying that America also has oligarchs. Mm-hmm. People were like, shut up, you're wrong.
Quiet, Bernie.
They hated him because he was right. Because like Elon Musk is at this point, he He is basically a Russian oligarch, but in America.
They are paying him access to the president.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really seems like these major companies, these massive companies, just want to spend a bunch of money so that they aren't attacked by either of these two cult leaders. And luckily for those investors, or those advertisers, Elon Musk has a platform that is in desperate need of their substantial marketing budgets. It is very hard to see this as anything more than buying the favor of Musk and Trump, especially considering these brands' previous statements. But either way, it's another very unfortunate windfall for Elon Musk. Here's the Financial Times with more.
Media executives told the Financial Times that some brands were preparing to advertise on X once again, as its billionaire owner was likely to gain an influential role within a second Trump White House. The platform's revenues have fallen dramatically since Musk's $44 billion acquisition 2 years ago, with some investor estimates suggesting its current valuation is less than $10 billion. Whoops. Brands have expressed concern that Musk has stripped back moderation, with groups such as Disney, IBM, and Apple leaving the platform last year. Musk has responded by telling big companies to, quote, go fuck themselves for pausing advertising. But Lou Pascalis, chief executive of marketing consultancy AJL Advisory and a former media executive at Bank of America, said some marketers were likely to reallocate spending back to X as political leverage, such as if they were seeking government contracts. He added companies would seek to get in the good graces of Elon, who has been given a wide remit by Trump as co-head of a new Department of Government Efficiency. It could be seen as an official channel for White House communications, said another advertising agency chief, adding that Trump's victory has lent Musk new legitimacy as well as power over brands in sectors that could face new regulatory curbs from Trump. Others remain steadfast in their aversion, with one media director describing X as a mess, adding, which brand will take the risk? Apparently, many of them.
Yeah, so that's what you have to weigh, is the, ultimately, as has sadly been proven, the ineffectiveness of the consumer being angry at them for advertising on a platform filled with Nazis, versus potentially having some extra regulations levied upon them by the Trump administration. Who's to say which one's more valuable to these generally faceless corporations?
Yeah.
I think the thing that's most frustrating about all of this is how blatant it is. Just between Gaetz, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and this story about advertisers going back to X is just how obvious it all seems and how frustrating that is to deal with. But oh well. Speaking of advertisers, we'll be right back with the second half of today's episode. But first, we have to thank Factor for sponsoring our show, a show that works for advertisers and the consumer, for sponsoring our show today. Notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't? Power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. From breakfast to dinner and anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options that you can add to your box, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. Don't let shorter days slow you down. Stay energized with America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service.
Factor lets you do you. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well-balanced. Because Factor's meals are chef-prepared and dietitian-approved, you're going to love not only how Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals. And Factor is cheaper than takeout and dining out, so you can put that extra cash you save towards holiday shopping. There's no sacrificing quality for convenience with Factor. Weekly menus offer ways to treat yourself to a restaurant-like meal experience with Gourmet Plus dishes that feature premium proteins and seasonal sides like broccolini, leeks, and asparagus. How does truffle butter filet mignon or garlic herb roasted barramundi sound? Mouth-watering, I know.
My tummy's rumbling just thinking about it. Factor keeps me fueled for my active days, Elliot. Now, you can also stay on your A game with quality ingredients that you can trust and quality that you can taste in every one of Factor's fresh, never frozen meals. Use your time more efficiently. It's very important during these dark months. So let Factor take the shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleaning up off of your daily list of things to do. Join Factor today. Head to factormeals.com/newsdump50 and use our code newsdump50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That is code newsdump50 at factormeals.com/newsdump50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
All right, back to the news now with a few stories about the world of toxicity, from gamers to influencers to the products themselves. But we're going to start with a toxic content creator who has now been indicted in a foreign country for being a disrespectful asshole.
Yeah.
Streamer Ramzi Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, has been banned from leaving South Korea and will face trial in the coming months after traveling to the country and participating in offensive antics, some of which resulted in the streamer being punched directly in the face by locals.
Yeah, which is pretty satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, he told him to do it.
Yeah.
He was asking for it. Here's NBC News with more. South Korean authorities indicted an American live streamer known for his offensive stunts abroad, accusing him of causing a commotion at a convenience store, prosecutors said Wednesday. Since when is a commotion illegal?
Oh, so I did a little commotion.
A spokesperson for the Seoul Southern District Prosecutor's Office told reporters Wednesday that Somali will face trial and is also banned from leaving the country. He is not detained, however, the spokesperson's office said. South Korea often imposes travel bans when there's a flight risk.
So he's not currently in custody, but he's also not allowed to leave the country legally
Lock
until he
him
goes
up.
to trial. So for now, he will either roam the streets and risk getting punched in the face a few more times, or just go into hiding until he is sentenced or kicked out of the country. Doesn't seem like a fun time. So the reporting continues and gets into more details regarding his antics or the commotion that he was stirring up.
So much commotion.
Somali, whose streams often involve desecrating monuments
Oh,
and
there it is.
harassing local residents,
Okay.
has been banned multiple times from various social media platforms and currently streams on Rumble,
Yep.
a live streaming platform with looser moderation policies than Twitch, another popular live streaming platform. In videos Somali posted on Instagram last month, he appears to be drinking alcohol in a convenience store where he pours instant noodles on a table before he cleans it up.
Somali has also drawn outrage in South Korea over his behavior around the Statue of Peace in Seoul, also known as the Comfort Woman statue, which commemorates the tens of thousands of Korean women who were forced into sexual slavery by Japanese forces during World War II. Video still available on Rumble shows Somali kissing the statue, printing out a picture of himself kissing it, and then showing the picture to passersby in Seoul. Jesus. The Yonhap news agency reported that Somali has been beaten up multiple times in South Korea, including once by another live streamer. Last year, Japanese authorities arrested Somali for suspicion of trespassing on a construction site, the Kyodo news agency reported. He also mocked Japanese commuters over the U.S. atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki at the end of World War II. Yeah, I would punch him in the face if I was
This is
any of these people.
A trail notably blazed by Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And other streamers are now just following suit. And I mean, that's the problem, is everything worked out great for Logan Paul. In fact, his life is 1,000 times better now after he went to Japan
He's fighting
and mocked the dead
Mike
person.
Tyson.
No, that's his brother. But yes, I understand the confusion, as we all do. But yes, people have been rewarded for this behavior, so others will definitely try to copy it. This sounds like, I mean, he's not that much older than a teenager. He's in his mid-20s. But this is teenager behavior.
Old enough to know better.
Yes, clearly old enough to know better.
Surprised he doesn't stream on Kick. This all screams Kick streamer.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was kicked off
they
that
banned
too,
him.
yeah.
It is funny that Kick, after like a year, they're like, okay, yeah, we do have
All
to.
right, we can't have everything on
They
it.
learned what every free speech platform learns eventually. It's just like, this is bad for business.
Yeah.
But speaking of risking it all for a bunch of faceless supporters on the internet, remember that gamer who leaked top secret government secrets on a Discord server to show off how cool he was? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack Taxeira, an Air National Guardsman who was a member of a Discord server known as the Thug Shaker Squad, consistently leaked secret documents by first transcribing them for his online friends and then pivoting into simply taking photos of the documents themselves and uploading them to Discord directly. The documents included notes on the Ukraine war, information about spy operations, photographs of the Chinese spy balloons purportedly taken by U-2 spy aircraft, and North Korean ballistic missile trajectory charts, among many other things. And he was showing these to teenagers.
Yeah, and he was like, "Isn't
Unsolicited,
this
too.
One of the funniest little tidbits of information here is when he was doing the transcribing of the documents and putting it up there, he was doing like these daily downloads of essentially whatever the intelligence community was saying. And he apparently wasn't getting enough traction with just making these daily downloads. People were like, all right, this guy's just maybe a crank or something.
Yeah.
And he realized that if he just took pictures of the classified documents or screenshots, that it was way more popular on the server. And therefore, children thought he was way cooler. So, yeah.
So back when this was all coming to light, Taxeira was described by the Washington Post as a young, charismatic gun enthusiast who shared highly classified documents with a group of far-flung acquaintances searching for companionship amid the isolation of the pandemic. And to be clear, the investigation into these documents appeared to stem from the fact that some naughty member who couldn't help themselves decided to re-leak the documents publicly to other social media platforms.
You couldn't keep it a secret? These top secret files that I publicly posted on this Discord server, which is sort of private, but not really. But you're going to take those things that I trusted you with, the same way the government trusted me with them, and you're going to leak them onto Twitter?
It's fucked up.
I think it went on to it went to like a Minecraft Discord server and then onto Twitter.
I'm just trying to game. Stop posting this. But yeah, if you can't trust your fellow Discord members, who can you trust?
Yeah. If you can't trust teenagers, I don't know who you can trust.
You can trust a lot of people.
Well, on Tuesday of this week, he was finally sentenced for all those crimes, and it was no mere slap on the wrist. Though, who knows? Again, everything that happens now, I'm just like, well, is Trump just going to pardon this guy?
Pretty cool crime he did.
Yeah.
I leaked it. I just stole a bunch of documents. Nothing bad happened.
I did the same thing. I think it's actually pretty cool. Jack Taxeira was sentenced Tuesday to 15 years in prison in a case that shook the U.S. national security community and exposed the ease with which government secrets can spread online. Taxeira arrived in U.S. District Court here with a buzz cut and wearing an orange jumpsuit, appearing before Judge Indira Talwani after pleading guilty in March to 6 federal charges, including the willful retention and transmission of national defense information that the U.S. government classified as top secret. Taxeira, who turns 23 next month, had asked for a prison sentence of 11 years. Prosecutors sought a sentence of nearly 17. As part of the sentence, Talwani said that upon his release from prison, Taxeira would be prohibited from holding a job that would afford him access to sensitive information.
I mean, for good measure, sure. I don't think that was...
In 15 years, it's like...
what's this empty gap, this 17-year gap on your resume, your 15-year gap on your resume for? We'd love to hire you here at the top secret special place, but we just have some questions about, oh, you were in prison?
Yeah.
For what? Was it anything related to top secret? Oh, well, shit.
The best thing he could do is not say anything to the interviewer. There's a guy we can trust with our secrets. He won't even tell us what he's been up to. You were on Discord, you say? Well, I'll trust anyone on Discord. You're hired. But speaking of gamers being involved in massive multinational crimes, this next story, it involves the developers themselves, some of whom are being accused of what appears to have been a massive money laundering scheme involving hundreds of millions of dollars. So, you remember NetEase? All right, not everyone is going to remember every mobile game developer or even recognize one by name, but this one in particular is infamous. They were the developer behind Diablo Immortal.
Oh, my favorite entry in the Diablo series.
Yeah, that was the widely panned mobile release.
Y'all got phones.
Yep. That was the widely panned mobile release of the popular action RPG Diablo. It was actually, look, I think in general, gamers would have been fine with a mobile port of Diablo.
It was just the way they announced
Yes.
it was so condescending.
It was a huge issue because fans, they were primed and ready for what they thought was going to be the announcement of Diablo 4 at the time. And instead, they came out on stage, the lights dimmed, the music played, everyone got super hyped, and they announced that, nope, you're getting a mobile game, and not just any mobile game, a mobile game from a company that is known for microtransactions. And that was obviously much to the chagrin of the fans in attendance, with one of those fans in particular asking members of Blizzard's management team at the time if this was all just some elaborate April Fool's joke. So that game was developed in partnership with NetEase. But NetEase, they released a ton of games, some with notable IP like Diablo or the Marvel series of games.
They also make that neti pot that you pour water through your nose.
It's easy. They are also developing Marvel's new hero shooter called Marvel Rivals. Well, that company is embroiled in a scandal.
Late last week, Bloomberg and the Chinese outlet Lifeng reported that several NetEase employees have been arrested for money laundering and bribery. Lifeng, via game developer, alleges that NetEase Games' general manager in charge of marketing and former head of NetEase's esports division, Zhang Lang, has been taken away by the company's internal anti-corruption department for investigation. Other employees who work under Lang are also reportedly under investigation for purchasing traffic to help promote NetEase's top products. NetEase has confirmed to Bloomberg in a statement that police are investigating the possible corruption. There have been a few estimates as to the extent of the fraud. Some reports indicate amounts of up to 2 billion yuan, or $277.8 million, were involved, but game developer reports that the actual price is likely closer to 800 million to 1 billion yuan, or $111.4 million to $139.3 million. In a statement provided to PC Gamer, NetEase confirmed that it has taken stringent action against 2 instances of suspected fraud by some employees of the company's Chinese domestic market operations, but said the allegations of money laundering, as originally reported, are false.
Oh, okay. Well, finally, today we have a story that harkens back to the entertainment coverage of years past, thanks to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has gone from America's favorite large-bodied actor to box office poison in record time.
It's been an insane sort of process.
The rise and fall of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
And the causes here are things that people have been saying for years. Basically, you contrast what The Rock has done with his acting career, which is essentially play the exact same character in a bunch of interchangeable movies multiple times a year. Compare that to like what Dave Bautista has done with his career.
Yeah.
And it's
also like
clear as day.
Going all the way back to the rift between him and Vin Diesel at Fast and Furious. I mean, it was very easy back then to be like, well, clearly The Rock is the normal one. Yeah. And now, in retrospect, it looks like he might be kind of an asshole.
I mean, they're probably both assholes.
They're definitely both egotistical dudes who I'm sure got on each other's nerves, but I think a lot of it came to a head with the ownership of the franchise, because
Vin Diesel at least has the decency to only play Dominic Toretto.
Yeah.
Whereas The
Rock, Triple X
The Rock
guy
tries to trick us into thinking he's playing a new character in these different, distinct movies, but it's always just the same guy.
Yeah. Rampage and Jumanji, baby.
The craziest thing about Rock's career is that the best performance anyone ever got out of him was fucking Michael Bay in Pain and Gain.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Bay elevated this man's acting talents to a degree not seen before nor since.
Yeah, well, he might have another loser on his hands. Old Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Another stinker.
It appears as though his upcoming film, Red One, which is a movie about finding Santa Claus and saving Christmas, and by the way, that movie cost an approximate $250 million to make, which is
okay, this thing better
offensive.
This thing better look and sound like Dune.
That is an offensive number for a Christmas movie. It looks like that, shockingly, is going to be a gigantic flop, despite The Rock going to pointlessly extreme lengths to make it something worth seeing in theaters. I mean, first, there were reports that he just sacrificed it all for this movie. He left everything on the stage, including his piss bottles.
Yeah?
He decided that why waste time going to the bathroom when you can just pee in bottles on set?
What would Santa Claus do? He's got all those houses to deliver to.
That bag's actually full of piss.
Santa Claus, the inside of Santa's sled looks almost identical to the inside of your average Amazon delivery driver.
Yeah, it looks like a semi-truck.
Piss bottles everywhere.
Mm-hmm. In addition to the piss jugs, though, there was also an absurd story behind the choice that he made to bring this Christmas movie into IMAX theater screens this year. And just the reasoning behind this is incredible.
Well, bigger is better.
Only The Rock could say something that is this outlandish.
The hierarchy of power in IMAX is about to change.
Here's discussing film.
The Rock says when he went to see Oppenheimer in IMAX, he chose to sit in the same seat that Christopher Nolan uses to watch his films. I was thinking, holy shit, Red 1 on this screen with this technology, it's gonna be game over. The film has 36% on Rotten Tomatoes.
He got the game over part right.
And everyone had a blast trying to enter the headspace of someone who was witnessing Oppenheimer for the first time, and the only thought in their head was, we should release my Santa Claus superhero movie in IMAX, just like Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm. When they split that atom,
I sat in the same chair as my peer, Christopher Nolan.
Yes. The atom they split, Black Adam.
Yeah. Anyways, the IMAX, the pissing in bottles, the absurd budget, it appears to be meaningless because the projections for this movie are dog shit, and it won't even come close to making back its production budget. Here's Variety. Dwayne Johnson's Christmas action movie with Chris Evans has made $3.7 million at the box office so far in Thursday previews. The Amazon MGM film is on track to make between $30 million and $35 million, with some projections lower at $25 million and others as high as $40 million. With a massive budget of $250 million plus marketing costs, it'll take a Christmas miracle for Red 1 to become a profitable hit at the box office. Please, Santa, all I want for Christmas is Red 1 to be a hit.
They should immediately release this on Blu-ray so you can get it in time for a stocking stuffer.
Yeah.
The movie was so successful that we immediately released the physical edition.
So the problem here is they released it too early. This is the theaters are going to stop showing this like by the time Thanksgiving comes around.
Elliot,
So what we need to do, we need Morbius, the Morbius treatment.
It's Morbin time.
Put it back in the theater.
No, you don't understand.
It's Christmas and I can't even go see Red 1. Put it back in the theater.
I would put money on the fact that The Rock thought this was going to be so successful that it would extend throughout the holiday season in theaters in the biggest screens possible.
Yeah.
Like, get out of the way, Wicked. We're keeping Red 1 in the big theaters.
It's The Rock, it's Santa Claus, it's everyone's
It's
two
Chris
favorite
Evans.
things.
Yeah. Everyone loves it. So, that's funny.
But speaking of Christmas,
Yeah.
and
it's
shopping.
It's time to shove your stockings with something worthwhile for once.
take a look at these.
Wow. Make sure the glare's not on it.
Yeah.
There it is. Sort of in focus.
And it's out of focus.
You can see it. These beautiful, beautiful specimens who can be
Wow.
your friends for a very appropriate price. They will be available on November 22nd, which is next Friday, depending on when you're watching this, at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. They are limited edition collectible figurines.
Yeah, they'll only be on sale for a limited time.
Yeah, 3-week pre-order window. And then, poof, never to be made again.
They're throwing the molds in the ocean.
Yes, they are deleting the files. By the way, YouTube's is also doing a giveaway so that you can potentially win a free box of our Monitor Buddies by following their brand on social media. There's going to be a link in the description below to the landing page for that giveaway. You just complete a few steps and you can rack up multiple entries to try and win. But you know what we would prefer? We would prefer that you actually support us and this show and show the company that making this wasn't a failed effort by purchasing your pair. You only have to buy one. It comes with two.
Yeah,
It's the best
two
deal.
for the price of one.
Yeah. By purchasing your pair of Monitor Buddies on Friday, November 22nd. We, of course, will remind you again so that you don't miss out. But yeah, if you do want to get our cool toy thing.
You want these dolls?
Yeah.
You want these figurines?
We'll
these
be
statuettes?
Very, very happy because we rarely get to do cool things like this.
Yeah, I've always wanted a doll of myself.
What's that? Wicked.com, right on the back.
No, don't.
Don't do it.
Don't go to wicked.com.
Or milkers or butt.
No.
Anyways, to the more important stuff, keep those smiles on our Monitor Buddies' faces by liking the video. Thank you. Wait. You thought about it and you didn't do it, but now you're going to do it.
He did it.
There you go. And then, of course, leaving a comment about something we talked about today in the comment section below, or just saying hi to your fellow viewers. And also making sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Now, popping up on the screen, you can watch our previous videos, including one that covers just the dream team that Donald Trump is assembling. A real Avengers.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll be
The
back.
hierarchy of power in the United States has changed.
Yeah. We'll be back soon for some weekly weird news. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.